So that is how weapons work. You need ammo. Now, what else would you need to be putting on your mech? Well, you might have seen Heatsink mentioned here, and you definitely heard me mention heat earlier. This also goes back to our good friends, the energy weapons. Energy weapons don't need ammo, but they do tend to generate quite a lot of heat. Now, the way heat sinks work is they dissipate 1 heat per heat sink, I believe every 10 seconds is more or less how the calculation works. I don't remember exactly, but pretty much the more heat sinks you have, the quicker heat dissipates off of you. There is a chart over here called heat efficiency. If you have all green, you're completely heat neutral. Red ticks to the left mean how much heat you generate. Yellow ticks are how much. It's a weird formula. I don't quite understand it yet. It's on the forums. Pretty much you want a lot of heat sinks, and you want to, more importantly, be careful about managing your heat. If you overheat, your mech will shut down. If you overheat too much, if you push it too far, your ammo will actually cook off and start exploding, which will likely kill you. Or if you get really way too hot, your engine will melt down and you will immediately die. Speaking of ammo exploding, if it is shot and blown up, say you have a bunch of ammo in your right torso, for example, which is this one. Say, yeah, I had these 2 things AC-20 ammo, just completely untouched, and this blows up. There's a very then good chance that it explodes and damages my center torso, which might kill me, which is bad. You don't want that to be happening to you. Now, needless to say, if a section of your component gets destroyed, it is useless. This weapon would count as gone. I would not be able to fire it. If it's an arm, it's very noticeable because the arm actually explodes and is gone. You just have a wrecked remnant of an arm left on you. So you need heat sinks, though. You don't want to overheat, and you need to be managing your heat in general. You have a heat meter. When we do a gameplay video, you will see this. I will show you in great detail how this works, while trying not to die. And you need to manage it. You need to try and keep it within acceptable levels. There are, unlike in the tabletop game and in, say, MechWarrior Tactics, if anyone has seen the 1 or 2 videos floating around on MechWarrior Tactics, there aren't penalties for your heat going too high until you start to get into overheat levels. You don't run slower, you don't have accuracy penalties, because you all manually aim and stuff like that. So you don't really need to worry about it until you overheat. If you do shut down, there is a shutdown override you can do. But this is dangerous because you might be overheating and you might blow yourself up. But cool that it's there. You can also voluntarily shut down if you want to try and duck off with people's radars. Very cool. I say radars. This game really doesn't have much for radar. Now, what else do we have in here? Well, as you can see, there are heat sinks, and there's this thing called case. Case is something you can only put in the left or right torso. It's very lightweight. It only takes up 1 slot. If you put this in here, and that torso section is blown up, and the ammo when it explodes... Remember I was saying earlier how that would then damage surrounding components? If you have case installed, the ammo still explodes, but the surrounding components do not take damage from it. So if you're in certain mech builds, if say you're running a lot of missiles in your torso, so missiles are a good example of it, case can be a valuable thing to put in because it keeps you from dying from having that blown up. Now, if we go to the center torso, you saw this earlier, this is also where engines are listed. This is just kind of the general component one. Configure equipment, I guess. Now, you may have also seen down here we have XL engines, and I mentioned these briefly earlier. These are significantly lighter weight engines that then take up more space. Here, I'll demonstrate what I mean by that. Let me just strip off the AC-20 real quick. And let's see. Standard engine 300, for example, is a 22-ton engine that takes up 6 slots. All standard engines take up 6 slots, but it's 22 tons for a 300 rated engine. There it is right there. Now let's go to the XL300. Now, XL, it's a little weird. You're going to immediately think it means extra large. No, it means extra light, though the name's kind of fitting. Now, the XL300 is 12 slots, but only 12.5 tons. So 9.5 tons lighter, but takes up 12 slots. And you're probably wondering how that is, because it's like, how could you ever fit them? The gyro has to be at the top. Well, here. I can't actually afford one. Extra light engines are extremely expensive. That is kind of their balancing factor of these things cost an arm and a leg to keep up. Because they are arguably better, but they do have one other very big downside. Now, if I put one in, I actually don't have enough slots or C-bills, but let me see if it'll let me. I don't want to buy it. I just want to put one in. We'll just cancel out of this after. We're not going to save this. That should be enough space. Come on, will you let me put it in? Will you let me put it in? Come on, game. Be cool. Be a cool guy. Be a cool person, game. Let me do this. Well, let me put it in. No. It won't. Okay. Well, it'll take up 6 slots here. and then it would take up 3 slots and 3 slots. I just removed all that crap for nothing, which is sad. Now, with an XL engine, the other downside is if your right or left torso is destroyed, you still die. It's not quite as expensive as having your center torso destroyed, or being cored, as it's usually called, because it's not the engine fully being destroyed and melting down, but it is damaged beyond use. So it's a little less expensive that way, but you will die so much easier. On a big heavy mech like an Atlas, it can sometimes be okay. That said, since an Atlas has a side torso-mounted giant cannon, having the extra slots here isn't always an option. But that's what XL engines do. They do tend to let you get more speed, because you can put a bigger engine in for less weight. This used to allow some mechs to go way faster than anyone liked them going, which is why they added those engine size limits and stuff. Very cool. Now, lastly, we'll go back to armor real quick. Like I said, you can modify the different armor values here. And you see on the torso specifically, you get certain values out of 124 for an Atlas. And the center, center, right, and left torso are split between front and rear. Everything else is just one armor value. Now, if you click on them and you look up here, you can see how much you have left available. Right now, I actually do have plenty of weight left because I don't have an engine installed. So I could actually add, I could put 2 more armor points on each legs because they have a max of 84, and I have enough available. I have none left on the, well, actually, center torso. I do have 2 left here as well. But, again, that's just because I don't have anything in the damn mech right now. So really, not too important. Now, lastly, we're really quick going to go over these things on the side. Now, the speed, this will just show you the top speed of the mech. I have no engine in right now, so this is a nice reminder if you forgot to put an engine in. Tonnage just shows you how many tons you currently have out of 100. Armor shows you how much armor you have out of the max of your armor. Firepower, this is an interesting metric. This shows you how much potential damage your mech can do with what it has currently equipped in an Alpha Strike, which is to say if you were to fire literally every weapon at once at something. Now, needless to say, firepower is not necessarily the best metric of how powerful your mech is. Running around alpha striking all the time is an awful idea. You will overheat very, very often. Some mechs, you can't do it at all, depending on how you've built it. Alpha striking is risky. You can't just constantly alpha strike. So again, firepower, not the best metric to use for how powerful your mech is. But it gives you a rough idea of the total amount of damage output you could do in one alpha strike, which is sometimes important. If a mech is very near its last legs, sometimes just hitting it with one big alpha strike will finish it off, and that's great. And then, of course, heat efficiency, which is the confusing way of telling if your heat efficiency is good. You want it to be a positive number. That's important. Lastly, you can do auto repair and auto rearm on and off. I like keeping auto rearm on because, frankly, the ammo cost, that's fine. Just give me my ammo back, pay for it. Auto repair, I do just for my own benefit. I like seeing what was damaged after matches. I just think that's cool. So I turn that off, at which point, if you were damaged, you would go into Mech Lab, and you can just, there'll be a little repair thing, and you can just do it yourself. It's very, very easy. When you're done configuring your mech, you can just go to Save Mech. That will then buy everything you've paid for. If you go to total, it'll say total cost down here, hitting save will save it, and that'll pay for it. You're good to go. So it's back out of here. There's one last thing I want to show you. Yeah, we're not gonna continue. We're not doing anything with that. Is where you can go to buy new mechs. Well, these are the other mechs I own. I own 2 variants of a Raven, mostly because this was the new mech they added most recently, and I wanted to try out both variants they had in the game. I've got a laser-mounted Centurion. This one, Centurion usually has a big cannon here instead of mine has a laser, because I've never tried this variant before. I have now. I like it. And then I have another mech base slot open. This is where you can go to buy mechs. Now, in the game right now, man, this is going on for a really long time. In the game right now, we have these mech variants. Now, there are 3 lights, 2 mediums, 2 heavies, and 2 assaults, and that is the order of lightest to heaviest in the game right now. The Commando is the lightest mech at 25 tons, then there's the Jenner and the Raven, both fitting in at 35 tons. There are 3 Commando variants, 2 Jenners, and 2 Raven variants. There will be more eventually. The reason there are not more Jenner or Raven variants at the moment is they use equipment that is not currently in the game yet, namely Endo Steel Chassis or Ferrofibrous Armor. Then for mediums, we have the Centurion and the Hunchback. The Cicada is also being added reasonably soon, next month or so, I believe. And the Centurion and the Hunchback are both fairly slow medium mechs. You can see they're 64.8 kilometers an hour. So compare this to the Jenner, which is 113 stock. The Cicada is incredibly fast, however, and that's going to balance these out. These are both kind of slow, lumbering, defensive, medium mechs, which is kind of weird. These mediums are kind of in a weird spot as a result of not being very fast at all. Then you have the Dragon, which is actually a very fast, heavy mech. It has a good amount of armor and weaponry compared to a medium, but is quite quick. And then the Catapult, which is generally a long-range assault mech. Mostly they use missile weapons, except for the K2, which we saw earlier. This is that snipey one. Then the two assault mechs are the Awesome, which obviously has a great name, and the Atlas. Now, based on the size of a mech is generally what dictates its cost. The bigger mechs likely cost more. This does not necessarily mean they are better. An Atlas will not necessarily win one-on-one versus, say, a Jenner. In fact, in my experience, it will lose almost 100% of the time. I freaking hate fighting Jenners in my Atlas. Dear God, they're so scary. What it does mean is they just have more stuff, and that is why they are more expensive. Now, these are what you can buy with C-bills, the in-game currency, or MC, MechWarrior credits, which is the real money. As you can see, I actually, well, you can't actually see it from, can you? Yeah, somewhere there. I actually have some MC due to being a Founders member. Currently in the beta, you do not get any standard. You can, however, buy some. It's the other thing you can buy is what, in addition to premium account time. And this is another way you can buy mechs. They are fairly expensive, some of the bigger ones. Bear this in mind. But again, this is a free-to-play game. The only things you can currently buy, or that are planned to be able to buy at all, are mechs, just straight up mechs, not equipment for them, not modifications for them, and cosmetic items, like there's going to be skins, new paint jobs, stuff like that. It'll also little cockpit items, which is a cool idea. I like that. So that is what they have planned. However, beta is beta, as you well know. A lot of the stuff is not in the game yet at all, and everything here is subject to change, including how their free-to-play model works. However, right now I would not say it's in a very by-power situation, which is good. If anything, the problem is the balance is not completely done at all. However, again, it's a beta. It is a closed beta that is very much still in beta. This is not a finished product whatsoever. So that could all be subject to change. That's how you can buy mechs. As I said, they get more expensive the bigger they are. Lastly, we have the Pilot Lab. This is the interesting one. This is where you can get a bunch of little minor variants on a per-mech basis. For example, if we go over to my Founders Atlas, I haven't actually played it since the last patch when everything got reset. You can do things like Cool Run. For example, it's 5,000 experience. You earn experience on a per-mech basis, and then a small percentage of that you also earn as group experience, I believe it's what's called, which can be spent on anything. You can upgrade various things about your mechs. If you unlock 3 variants of a mech, if you buy 3 variants and you unlock everything, and that unlocks the elite things, which are just better. I can't actually click on them because I don't have any elites unlocked. And if you unlock all 3 of those, you can get an additional module slot. Modules have just recently been added. If we go to, let's see, this is the pilot trees, I think. This is where you can unlock modules from the pilot trees. Right now, the only ones are the capture module and the sensor module. Once you have these unlocked here, you can then buy them in the Mech Lab and equip them into mechs. These just give other minor bonuses. All these really do is they minorly increase, say, the amount of heat your mech can generate, your torso twist speed, your radius. All little bonuses that add up. Very nice, very little minor things. I'm not so sure I like the whole having to buy 3 variants of a mech to do this kind of thing. However, again, beta, I would actually hope they change it just because, I don't know. You don't necessarily always want 3 variants of the same mech. A lot of times you're going to go and buy the mech variant you want of that mech and be happy with it. And you're just going to want to rather buy more mechs. I would almost rather just a straight experience kind of thing here. Some sort of just, I don't know, more of a straight up tech tree to unlock this. But again, beta is beta. It's all subject to change. We'll see, especially with the NDA coming out, they may get a lot more feedback. All I'm saying is I think, yeah, it's not the best system, just because it's a weird incentive to want to buy mech variants that you might not necessarily have. And if your incentive isn't that you want to try those variants, I don't know, it feels a little forced. It's just weird. That might change, though. But yeah, that is it for this basic overview of the Mech Lab and just the general front-end interface not in-game. I apologize if you were really wanting some footage. That will be coming in the next video, which should probably be coming reasonably soon. We'll get some more. Don't worry. This is the first of many. I hope you've enjoyed this rundown on how everything kind of works behind the scenes in MechWarrior Online, how you buy stuff, a little base overview of their pricing model, of their their free-to-play model down the road. of how customizing your mechs work, of how you can customize your mechs. By the way, side note, the different variants have different hard points. That's mainly how they're different. Just so you know, the hard points are different. I didn't really mention that, did I? That's the biggest difference. And the stock equipment's different, but the big thing is the hard points. But yeah, guys, that is the first look from AtnaGaming at the MechWarrior Online beta. I am so psyched to be able to show you this. Again, I will post links in the description of this to relevant sites. If you want to head over to the official site, is MWOmercs.com. That is MWOmercs.com, MechWarrior Online Mercenaries. You should definitely go check it out. I highly encourage, sign up to try and get into the beta if you can. The game will probably be going into open beta within the next couple of months. And if you look around online, it is very, very easy to find various giveaways and stuff for beta keys. It might have run out now, but I did post one on the AtnaGaming Facebook page, facebook.com/AtnaGaming. That was doing a giveaway for beta keys for this game. So if you're interested, go check that out. Look around, you can probably find them. And I hope to see you in there eventually. Let me know what you think, my friends. That's it for now. As always, like, subscribe, share, comment. Let me know what you think. If you're in the beta, please, I would love to hear your impressions on it. I've been hearing plenty because I'm on the beta forums all the time, but I'd love to hear more. So that's it for now. As always, I've been Jeeps, and I'll talk to you guys later.